We got him. Aiden Ross just waved the white flag. After weeks of attacking Dochi, calling her an industry plant, and throwing racist stereotypes at Malone, he finally folded. The internet pressed him into submission, and I got every single receipt. Let's dive in. Everybody thought Aiden was untouchable. He was out here acting like he could say whatever he wanted, attack whoever he wanted, and nobody could check him. That was the narrative. Aiden Ross is too big, too rich, too connected. He's got Trump on speed dial. He's got millions of followers. What could anyone possibly do to him? But then Malone stepped in, and the community rallied. And suddenly, all that confidence disappeared. Now Aiden's donating money, apologizing, and trying to move on like nothing happened. But we remember everything, and we're about to break down exactly how we got here. Let me take you back to where this whole thing started. Aiden Ross decided he was going to go after Dochi. Now, if you don't know who Dochi is, she's a rising rapper, a black woman who's been getting a lot of attention in the industry. She's talented, she's getting her shine, and apparently that bothered Aiden. He tried to spin it like it was because she was rude to him at the Met Gala, or because she's an industry plant. But let's keep it real. That wasn't the real reason. The real reason? She's a successful black woman, and Aiden sees her as an extension of the Kendrick versus Drake beef. He's still trying to get some kind of moral victory for Drake, because they're boys, and he can't stand the fact that Drake took that L. So he figured, why not attack a woman? Why not go after someone who can't physically defend herself the same way a man could? That's the energy Aiden was on. And it wasn't just Dochi. When Malone stepped in to defend her, Aiden went full racist. He said Malone was a deadbeat dad with a bunch of baby moms and kids he doesn't take care of. Only problem? Malone doesn't even have kids. Aiden literally just made that up. He took every racist stereotype he could think of and threw it at a black man, because that's what he does. That's his playbook. He sees a black person and he assumes the worst. That's racism, plain and simple. Now, at first, Aiden acted tough. He was saying things like, nobody can touch me. I'm Aiden Ross. I'm too big for this. You think you can cancel me? Good luck. He was laughing it off, acting like the pressure didn't matter. But Malone didn't back down. He kept pressing. He put that full court press on Aiden, and slowly, you could see it starting to work. Aiden started getting defensive. He started trying to deflect, and then the community started joining in. People on Twitter, people on YouTube, people in the comments, everybody started holding Aiden accountable. They were bringing up old clips of him saying the N-word, defending his right to say it, talking about how all streamers say it. They were exposing his hypocrisy. They were calling out his racism, and Aiden, he couldn't handle it. You could see it in his face during his streams. He was getting frustrated. He was snapping at people. He was trying to change the subject. But the internet doesn't forget. The internet doesn't let you just move on. And eventually, Aiden cracked. He said he was going to donate money. He said he was done talking about it. He tried to act like he was taking the high road. But we all know what really happened. He got pressed and he folded. And now he's trying to save face by acting like it was his decision to walk away. But nah. The community made him walk away. The pressure broke him. And that's exactly what needed to happen. Because people like Aiden, they only understand one language, and that's pressure. You can't reason with them. You can't have a calm conversation. You have to apply pressure until they have no choice but to back down. And that's exactly what happened here. Now, let's talk about the motive, because this is where everything starts making sense. Why would Aiden Ross, someone with millions of followers and millions of dollars, go after Dochi? Why would he risk his reputation like that? Well, it all comes down to insecurity and loyalty. Let's start with the Drake connection. Aiden and Drake are friends. They've been seen together multiple times. Aiden's whole persona is built around being connected to these big celebrities. He's not a musician. He's not an actor. He's a streamer who got famous by riding the coattails of other people. And Drake is one of his biggest connections. So when Kendrick destroyed Drake in that beef, Aiden took it personally. He felt like he had to defend his friend. He felt like he had to get some kind of revenge. But he couldn't go after Kendrick. Kendrick's too big, too respected, too untouchable. So he went after the next best thing. Someone in Kendrick's orbit. Someone who's been getting shine in the industry. Someone who's black. Someone who's a woman. Someone he thought he could bully without consequences. That person was Dochi. And honestly, it's a pattern with Aiden. He has a history of attacking black people. He has a history of saying racist things. He has a history of thinking he can get away with it because he's rich and famous. But this time, the community said no. This time, people pushed back, and Aiden wasn't ready for that. He thought he could just say whatever he wanted and people would forget about it in a week, but Glass Malone made sure that didn't happen. Glass kept the pressure on. He kept calling Aiden out. He kept reminding people of what Aiden said, and slowly, more people started paying attention. The clips started circulating, the tweets started piling up, and Aiden's reputation started taking hits. Now let's talk about Glass Malone for a second, because Glass is a legend in his own right. He's a West Coast rapper who's been around for years. He's respected in the streets. He's respected in the industry. And when he saw what Aiden was doing to Dochi, he stepped in. Not because he had to, not because he was getting paid, but because it was the right thing to do. And that's what real leadership looks like. That's what real solidarity looks like. Glass didn't just tweet about it. He didn't just make one video and move on. He stayed on Aiden's neck. He kept the pressure on, and he didn't back down, even when Aiden tried to throw racist stereotypes at him. Glass took that disrespect, turned it into fuel, and kept pushing. And eventually, Aiden broke. He realized he couldn't win this fight. He realized the community was against him. He realized his reputation was taking too much damage. So he did what cowards do. He waved the white flag. He tried to act like he was being the bigger person by walking away. But we all know the truth. He didn't walk away by choice. He was forced out. And that's a beautiful thing, because it shows that accountability still matters. It shows that the community still has power. It shows that even someone as big as Aiden Ross can be checked if enough people stand up and say no, not this time. But here's the part that really hits different. This whole situation wasn't just about Aiden and Dochi. It wasn't just about some internet beef. It was about the real-world consequences of online harassment. Dochi is a human being. She's a black woman trying to make it in an industry that's already hostile to people who look like her. And Aiden, with his millions of followers, decided to weaponize his platform against her. Think about what that does to someone. Think about the mental toll of having millions of people questioning your talent, calling you an industry plant, saying you don't deserve your success. That's trauma. That's emotional abuse. And Aiden didn't care. He thought it was funny. He thought it was content. But for Dochi, it was real. And the same goes for Glass Malone. When Aiden threw those racist stereotypes at him, that wasn't just words. That was an attack on his character, his identity, his blackness. Aiden looked at Glass and saw every stereotype he's been taught about black men. Deadbeat dad, absentee father, irresponsible. None of it was true, but Aiden said it anyway, because in his mind, that's what black men are. And that kind of casual racism, it's dangerous, it's dehumanizing. It's the same energy that gets black people killed by police, denied jobs, profiled in stores. It's all connected. And the fact that Aiden felt comfortable saying those things on a public platform with millions of viewers, that tells you everything you need to know about how he sees black people. But here's what gives me hope. The community didn't let it slide. People stood up. People called it out. People made sure Aiden faced consequences. And that's how change happens. Not through quiet acceptance, not through taking the high road, but through loud, persistent, unapologetic resistance. Glass Malone showed us what that looks like, and the community followed his lead. And because of that, Aiden Ross is now on the record as someone who got checked, someone who got pressed, someone who folded. And that legacy is going to follow him forever. Now let's get into the actual moment Aiden waved the white flag. Because it's one thing to talk about pressure and accountability, but it's another thing to actually see it happen in real time. During one of his recent streams, Aiden was visibly frustrated. You could see it in his body language. He wasn't his usual cocky self. He wasn't laughing and joking. He was defensive. He was deflecting. And then he said it. He said he was done with the situation. He said people should just move on. He even said he was going to donate money to some cause as a way to make things right. But here's the thing, that's not accountability, that's damage control. Aiden didn't apologize to Dochi, he didn't apologize to Glass Malone, he didn't take responsibility for the racist things he said. He just tried to throw money at the problem and hope it would go away. And then, to make it even worse, he tried to deflect by going after Anthony Fantano. He started saying things like, well, what about Anthony Fantano? He says the N-word too. And yeah, Anthony Fantano has his own issues, but that's not the point. The point is, Aiden was trying to change the subject.
He was trying to take the heat off himself by pointing fingers at someone else. And that's what people do when they know they're wrong, but they're too prideful to admit it. But the internet wasn't falling for it. People in the comments were calling him out. They were saying, "Nice try, Aiden, but we're not distracted. You're still the one who attacked Dochi. You're still the one who said racist things about Glass Malone. You're still the one who got pressed to apologizing." And Aiden couldn't handle it. He got more and more defensive. He started saying things like, "You'll never hear about these people again. Their engagement is gonna drop. They're only relevant because of me." And that right there, that's the energy of someone who's lost. Because when you have to tell people you're bigger than them, you've already admitted that you feel threatened. If Aiden was really confident, he wouldn't need to say any of that. He would just move on. But he can't move on because deep down, he knows he took an L. He knows the community won. He knows Glass Malone got the better of him, and that's eating him up inside. Now here's where it gets even crazier. During all of this, someone exposed a security flaw in Aiden's house. There's footage floating around showing that his garage door can be opened remotely. And Aiden's reaction to seeing that footage, it was pure panic. You could see the fear in his eyes because suddenly all that internet tough guy energy disappeared. Suddenly he realized that the internet isn't just words, it's real. And if someone wanted to, they could show up at his house. They could get inside. They could do whatever they wanted. Now, I'm not saying anyone should do that. I'm not advocating for violence or anything like that. But the point is, Aiden suddenly realized he's not as untouchable as he thought. He realized that actions have consequences. And that fear, that's karma. That's what happens when you spend years attacking people online and thinking you're invincible. Eventually, reality catches up to you. And for Aiden, reality came in the form of a hacked garage door and a community that refused to let him off the hook. Let's take a step back and talk about the bigger picture here. Because this situation with Aiden Ross isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a larger pattern of influencers and streamers thinking they can say and do whatever they want without consequences. And for a long time, they were right. The internet has always had this problem where people with big platforms can bully, harass, and attack others, and nothing happens to them. They might lose a few followers, they might get some bad press for a week, but ultimately they keep streaming, they keep making money, and they keep getting away with it. But something's changing. The community is starting to realize that they have power. They're starting to realize that if enough people stand up and say this isn't okay, then even the biggest influencers can be held accountable. We saw it with Aiden Ross. We've seen it with other creators who face backlash for their behavior. And hopefully we'll keep seeing it. Because accountability shouldn't be optional. It shouldn't be something that only happens when someone goes viral for the wrong reasons. It should be the standard. Now, I want to talk about Glass Malone again, because his role in this situation cannot be overstated. Glass didn't just defend Dochi. He set an example for how the community should respond when one of our own is being attacked. He didn't wait for someone else to step in. He didn't sit back and hope the problem would solve itself. He took action. And that's what leadership looks like. That's what solidarity looks like. And it's something we need to see more of, especially right now. Because if you've been paying attention to what's happening in this country, you know things are getting bad. ICE raids are ramping up, American citizens are being detained, black people are being targeted, and all of this is happening while people like Aiden Ross sit comfortably in their mansions making millions of dollars off content that often punches down at marginalized communities. So when Glass stood up for Dochi, it wasn't just about one incident. It was about drawing a line in the sand and saying, we're not tolerating this anymore. And that's the energy we need to carry forward, not just online, but in real life. We need to protect each other. We need to hold each other accountable, and we need to make sure that people who try to harm our community face consequences. What we're seeing here is bigger than just Aiden Ross or Dochi or Glass Malone. What we're seeing is a shift in how the internet handles accountability. For years, influencers have operated with impunity. They've said offensive things, attacked marginalized communities, and faced little to no consequences. But that's starting to change. The community is waking up. People are realizing that they don't have to accept bad behavior just because someone has a big platform. They're realizing that their voices matter. And when enough people come together and apply pressure, even the biggest influencers have to listen. Now, does that mean Aiden Ross is going to change? Probably not. People like him rarely do. But what it does mean is that the next time he tries to pull something like this, the community will be ready. They'll know what to do. They'll know how to organize, how to apply pressure, and how to make sure he faces consequences. And that's a win. That's progress. But we can't stop here.
This energy needs to extend beyond social media. We need to protect each other in real life. We need to stand up against racism, against misogyny, against all forms of oppression. And we need to do it consistently, not just when it's trending, not just when it's convenient, but all the time. Because the fights we're having online, they're connected to the fights we're having offline. The same people who attack black women on the internet are the same people who support policies that harm black communities. The same people who use racist stereotypes online are the same people who vote for politicians who enable systemic racism. It's all connected, and if we want real change, we have to fight on all fronts. So where does this leave Aiden Ross? Well, he's trying to move on. He's trying to act like none of this ever happened. But the internet doesn't forget. The receipts are saved, the clips are archived, and anytime someone searches his name, this situation is going to come up. That's the thing about the internet. Your reputation is permanent. You can delete tweets, you can delete videos, but screenshots live forever. And Aiden's legacy is now permanently tied to this moment. He's the guy who attacked a black woman, threw racist stereotypes at a black man, and then got pressed into apologizing. That's how he'll be remembered. And honestly, that's exactly what he deserves. Now, some people might say, why are you still talking about this? Aiden already apologized. He already donated money. Just let it go. But nah, we're not letting it go. Because people like Aiden need to understand that actions have consequences. They need to understand that you can't just say and do whatever you want and then throw money at the problem to make it go away. Real accountability means facing the music. It means sitting with the discomfort of knowing you messed up. It means doing the work to actually change. And Aiden hasn't done any of that. He just wants to move on and hope people forget. But we're not forgetting. We're keeping the receipts. And the next time he steps out of line, the community will be ready. Because that's what this is about. It's not about canceling someone for fun. It's about creating a culture where bad behavior has consequences and where people who harm others can't just get away with it because they have money or followers. All right, y'all, that's the full breakdown of how Aiden Ross got pressed and folded. Shout out to Malone for holding it down. Shout out to Dochi for staying strong through all of this. And shout out to the community for showing up and holding people accountable. This is the energy we need moving forward. We need to protect each other, we need to stand up for each other, and we need to make sure that people who try to harm us face consequences. So, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Aiden Ross actually learned anything from this, or is he just waiting for things to blow over? Do you think the community should keep the pressure on, or should we move on? And what do you think about the way Malone handled this entire situation? Let me know what y'all think, and make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates, because this story is far from over. Aiden might have waved a white flag, but that doesn't mean he's done making mistakes. And when he slips up again, you know I'm gonna be here to cover it. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Stay safe out there, keep holding people accountable, and remember, the internet never forgets. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.